Dr. Hans Selye at the University of Montreal's Institute of Experimental Medicine and Surgery has demonstrated the destructive effects of stress and strain, worry and anxiety on the general defense system of the body. He says if the mental stress which set the general defense system in motion is not of a temporary and passing nature, but persists week after week, the adrenal glands first attempt to adapt to the situation by increasing their output of hormones. But this plays havoc with various other processes not related to defense. The individual may develop arthritis or diabetes or any of the other so-called psychosomatic diseases. Inevitably, if the stress is continued beyond this general adaptation stage, the adrenal glands become exhausted. They change in color from yellow to brown. The stomach becomes spotted with ulcers. The resistance to cold and heat and to every kind of disease and injury collapses. And if the unfortunate individual does not fall victim to some infection, he will probably succumb to one of the heart, circulatory, or kidney diseases, which are today the greatest killers. Dr. Selye's work demonstrated that the defense system can effectively fight only one thing at a time. If in response to a mental tension caused by pain from a broken limb, for instance, it is set into action, it quickly organizes 100 specialized activities, in addition to its general work to repair the fracture. But if in the middle of this repair work another stress caused by fear, let us say, is introduced, we either quickly succumb to the first injury or to shock resulting from second stress, or the broken limb simply does not mend and has to be amputated. In the case of other diseases, rather than fractures, healing is suspended and the diseases become chronic. Thus, if our general defense system is mobilized by mental tensions of a non-physical origin, our resistance to the stresses imposed by such things as pneumonia, influenza, colds is decreased proportionally. What he's actually saying is that if you begin to imagine, fear, the sense of loss that you're going to lose your job or mortgage, or some imaginary fear while you're going on an airplane, that which I fear most has come upon me. Now, when the subconscious does not differentiate between an imaginary fear and a real fear, and therefore you can see the havoc that is played by stress and strain and anxiety when a person begins to worry and become anxious over conditions and circumstance events which are not happening at all, but in their mind may happen, or they imagine they are going to happen. Like a woman I knew who began to take out all the clippings of the newspapers of plane disasters. And she studied them. Finally, she got on a plane, and her son said she had to get on a plane where there was a disaster, because she'd been contemplating it for 1 year. If you're contemplating or meditating on or imagining the loss of your home, the loss of your job, a layoff, or that you're going to lose your home or can't pay the mortgage, these imaginary fears set your hormones, the pituitary and the adrenal gland, into action, and these hormones which are elaborated interfere with the chemistry of your system. There is no sickness, you have no fever, you have had no accident, no lesion, you don't have pneumonia, there's nothing for them to do. But they play havoc with the chemistry of your body. It's an entirely different thing if you're sick or have a fever or if you've been operated on, then the defense mechanism begins to repair your body. But there's nothing to repair in imaginary fears. And this is why Dr. Selye says you get all these diseases because of your imaginary fears, which bring on stress and strain. A young intern consistently worried about his future. He was a nervous wreck, full of stress and strain. He learned to paint a picture of himself as filling a staff position in a big hospital and possessing a sumptuous office in the city. In his imagery, he had a liveried chauffeur, and he imagined that friends constantly were congratulating him. He kept this mental picture before him. It was his mental movie. He attended to it and devoted himself to this picture. Whenever he was prone to worry or becoming anxious, he purposely flashed the picture on the screen of his mind. As the weeks passed by, a higher power moved on his behalf, honoring his dreams and making them all real. The chief surgeon invited him to be his assistant, and he married a very wealthy woman who purchased for him a most sumptuous office, and furthermore also provided him with a Cadillac and a liveried chauffeur. Many women do that. Some men marry very, very wealthy women. Why not? There's nothing wrong with it. This is the way by which the habit of worry is changed. This is the way the old man becomes a new man in thee God. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. You don't have to suffer from chronic worry or be anxious or get overtense. Do not spend time looking at your troubles or problems. Cease all negative thinking. Your mind cannot function harmoniously when it is tense. It relieves the strain to do something soothing and pleasant when you are presented with a problem. You do not fight a problem, you can overcome it. To release pressure, take a drive, go for a walk, play solitaire, read a favorite chapter of the Bible, such as the 11th chapter of Hebrews, the greatest antidote to fear and worry in the world today. It's the finest chapter in the whole Bible to develop self-confidence and inner peace. Read the 13th chapter of 1 Corinthians, magnificent drama. Or read the 46th Psalm. Read it over carefully and quietly several times. You won't suffer from strain or stress if you do these things. An inner calm will steal over you, and you will become poised and peaceful. Did you ever read the 11th chapter of Hebrews? Did you ever read the chapter 13 of the 1 Corinthians? It's a very beautiful prayer, one of the most wonderful love epics of all time. Here's a wonderful thing for you to do in the morning. Every morning when you awaken, turn to the God presence within you in prayer. Know God is that infinite intelligence, boundless wisdom within you, which watched over you while you were sound asleep. Relax your body, then have a dialogue with the higher self. Become as a little child. This means that you trust the divine presence completely, and you know that infinite intelligence is healing you now. The next step would be to affirm lovingly, "Thank you, Father, for this wonderful day. It is God's day. It is filled with joy, peace, happiness, and success. I look forward with a happy expectancy to this day. The wisdom and inspiration of the Almighty will govern me during the entire day. The infinite intelligence is my partner, my senior partner. Everything I do will turn out in a wonderful way. I believe that infinite intelligence is guiding me, and divine love fills my soul. This is turning your eyes to the hills, from whence cometh your help." This is one of the most inspiring and illuminating passages in the entire Bible. For the hills represent the powers and qualities and attributes of God within you. The third step, claim boldly, "I am full of confidence in the goodness of God in the land of the living. I know infinite intelligence watches over me all day today and at all times everywhere. I let go. I am poised, serene, and calm. I know that it is God in action in all phases of my life, and divine law and order reigns supreme in my life." Make a habit of dwelling on these steps in prayer every morning before you go to work. When worry thoughts or anxious thoughts come to your mind, substitute any of the spiritual thoughts from these 3 steps, and your mind will be conditioned to peace, poise, serenity, and tranquility. Dr. Paul Dubois, famous psychiatrist in Switzerland, people visit him from all over the world. He gives men who are suffering from stress or strain or anxiety, he gives them words to use, the therapy of words, such as invulnerability, serenity, tranquility, victory, peace. Well, when you use these words, they release that power of your subconscious mind. These powers become active and potent in your life, and victory becomes yours. That's a very wonderful thing to know, but it's a marvelous thing to do. And you can begin to do it now. The ravages of worry, stress, and strain are countless, Millions of people throughout the world are sick from worrying and from anxiety. The stress, the people who worry always are expecting things to go wrong. This is primarily due to a lack of faith in the infinite. They brood or worry over a great many things that never happen. They get over-tense. They will tell you all the reasons why something bad should happen, not one reason why something good should happen. This constant worry and anxiety debilitates their entire system, resulting in physical and mental disorders. A man said to me one time, "I'm worried sick about my drugstore. I may lose it. Business is good, but it can't last. I'm anxious about the whole thing. I may go bankrupt. My mind is in turmoil. I can't sleep because of the stress and the strain on me." "Tell me the nature of your business problem," I suggested. "Oh, nothing has happened yet, but I fear it will happen. I worry myself sick, and I also get my wife upset. How can I stop worrying?" This man actually was doing a good business. He had a fine bank account. By ordinary standards in the drug business, he was prospering. His constant negative imagery was robbing him of vitality, enthusiasm, and energy. And in addition, he was making himself weaker and less able to meet any challenges that might come along. I explained to this pharmacist that if he continued worrying, he would attract the conditions upon which he was mentally dwelling. "For that which I fear most has come upon me," Job said. That the only thing really wrong with him was a false belief in his mind, negative imagery, and that he had forgotten that he personally could control his thoughts and his life. I gave him the following spiritual prescription. He was to use it regularly and systematically several times a day. "My business is God's business. God is my partner in all of my affairs. God, which means that supreme intelligence within you, is prospering my business in a wonderful way. I claim that all those working with me in my store are spiritual links in its growth, welfare, and prosperity. I know this, I believe it, and I rejoice in their success and happiness. I solve all my problems by trusting the infinite intelligence within my subconscious mind to reveal to me the answer. I rest in security and in peace. I am surrounded by peace, love, and harmony. I know that all my business relationship with people are in accord with the law of harmony. Infinite intelligence reveals to me better ways in which I can serve humanity. I know that infinite intelligence indwells all my customers and clients. I work harmoniously with others to the end that happiness, prosperity, and peace reign supreme. When any worry or fear thoughts come to my mind, I will immediately affirm, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. He began to set aside 10 or 15 minutes in the morning, afternoon, and evening for the purpose of reiterating these truths, knowing that through their frequent habitation of his mind, he would be reconditioned to constructive thinking. When morbid thoughts came to his mind, he would immediately affirm, "Divine love fills my soul." He said to me that in one day he must have said, "Divine love fills my soul," about 1,000 times. Gradually, the neurotic thought pattern of chronic worry and anxiety that he had complained of in the beginning, which had been repeating itself with monotonous regularity, was completely dissipated, and he rejoiced in his freedom. And this is a wonderful thing to know, but it's a marvelous thing to do. Tension is not bad. It is over-tension, of course, that plays havoc with you. Take an actress or an actor. Naturally, they're tense. They accumulate some energy before they sing or dance or, play the role on the stage. That's constructive. They're accumulating a certain amount of energy. It's just like a clock. If you wind the clock too tight, well, you know what happens, don't you? The spring breaks. But you can wind the clock and it ticks off rhythmically, harmoniously, and peacefully, and gives you the time. Likewise, you're a little tense before you speak, perhaps. I am always a little tense before I talk. There's nothing wrong with that. The minute you begin to talk, then you tick off that energy rhythmically, harmoniously, peacefully, and lovingly. And you look at the audience and you say, "Look, I radiate love, peace, and goodwill to all those people in the Wilshire Ebell Theatre. The love of God surrounds them and enfolds them and enwraps them. God thinks, speaks, and acts through me. My words heal, bless, and inspire. They elevate and dignify the soul." That does away with all stress and strain and anxiety, because you're filling your mind with the truths of God, and you crowd out of your mind everything unlike God. Furthermore, the audience are blessed because they're all open and receptive. You can build energy. If you are going to sing, yes, you get a little tense. And Then when you begin to sing, you sing majestically and gloriously, because you say, God is singing majestically through me. All of us are tense at times, we're relaxed at times. You know the transoceanic planes that fly thousands of miles, they go to Japan, China, and all over the world. And scientists tell us they have to rest because the metal gets tired. The stress and strain are too much for the metal, so the metals have to rest. Now, prolonged rest and perpetual peace is existing without living. You know, when you go to a funeral Ireland, they deposit the body in the earth, you know, they say, well, he's at peace now. That's utter nonsense, because there's no one at all there. No one buried any place. The man is a mental and spiritual being. He has another body living in the fourth dimensions of life. So to have peace of mind, it means you're creative, you're putting your hand to the wheel, you roll up your sleeves, you're expressing yourself fully, you're rowing the boat, you get some blisters too, but you're constructive, you're harmonious, you're releasing that imprisoned splendor, you're getting things done. That gives you an inner peace, an inner satisfaction, a quiescence of the mind. But certainly perpetual peace and sitting on a rocking chair without doing anything is frustration and neurosis. You're here to express, you're here to put your shoulder to the wheel, you're here to get involved and help other people and release your hidden talents to the world. God gave you himself, gave you all the attributes, qualities, and powers of God. You're here to return them. You're here to give them. You're here to give life to your desires, ideals. You're here to create. Perhaps you're a singer, a dancer, and perhaps you're a motion picture director. Perhaps you're a writer. Perhaps you're a doctor. Perhaps you're serving hamburgers, but you're here to serve. And when you don't serve, when you don't express, you then get tense, over-tense, and anxious, and frustrated, and you become 100% neurotic. You're a spiritual being living in a material universe, yes. You're not living in your body. The body isn't living in you as an idea. It's simply waves of light. It's molecular. It's not solid at all. The spirit and the mind in you represent cause. Your world is an effect. Now your body, which means your physical body, your environment, your pocketbook, your social status, your relationship with people, all these are a mathematical reflection of your habitual thinking and imagery. In other words, you are belief expressed. If you want to overcome stress and strain, people today, I hear men saying, oh, it's a rat race, the pace is terrific, the pressure is awful, and I don't know that I can stand this rat race, you know, my nerves are jangled, I can't sleep night, I have to take tranquilizers. Others say I have to take 4 shots of whiskey in order to go to sleep at night. I come home so tense and so exhausted that I have to have 3 or 4 beers or something, you know, things of that. You know, you've heard that. Well, now go frequently to the world of spirit within you and claim beauty and inspiration, claim guidance, and claim the almighty power is moving through you. You will be refreshed, revitalized, and strengthened. Call upon me, I will answer you, I'll be with you in trouble. I'll set you on high because you have known my name. The name or the nature of infinite intelligence is to respond to you. This is the meaning of turning your eyes to the hills, from whence cometh your help. Hills that are within a range, as we said at the beginning of this broadcast. Therefore you turn to infinite intelligence, boundless wisdom, and the infinite love, and claim these things, and lo and behold, you feel that dew of heaven moving over the arid areas of your mind, and you're refreshed. It's called the manna that cometh down from heaven, from the heavens of your own mind. That invisible food, that intangible thing, that inspirits you, invigorates you, enlightens you. If you're upset or under strain, therefore, turn to the great eternal truths within you. Think of the absolute harmony, the boundless love, the infinite intelligence, and the infinite wisdom governing the planets in their course and causing the sun to shine, and turning the earth in its axis, you know, regularly and systematically. Think of these great eternal truths, and they are within you, and then realize divine law and order in your life. And I can do all things through this God power which strengtheneth me. Then you'll grapple with the problem courageously. You'll say every problem is divinely outmatched. The problem is here, but infinite intelligence is here too. and therefore I'm bound to overcome. I'm bound to win. I'm born to win. The infinite can't fail. Then you'll tackle your problem with faith and confidence, and you won't tackle it with stress and strain. Begin to meditate, therefore, on the great immutable laws of life, and you're transported from tension and stress and strain to inner peace, tranquility, and serenity of mind. For great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. And the law is, you are what you contemplate. You become what you contemplate. Contemplate the great truths, and then they become active and potent in your life. Everything in the universe passes away. You can't be frustrated forever. You can't be sick forever. You can't be a square peg in a round hole forever. If it's hot, it's going to cool off. If it's rainy, it's going to dry up. Everything passes away. 1,000 times in your Bible, you have this expression, and it came to pass. Yes, the flood came to pass. Everything comes to pass. So nothing is forever. That'll give you a sense of tranquility, too. Everything is changing into its opposite, you know. You can't be lonesome forever. Claim divine companionship, that infinite spirit is attracting to you, a companion who harmonizes with you in every way. It'll come to pass. You know that Persian king, he wanted a reminder on a ring, just a few words. And he told these sophisticated astrologers in his day, he said, I want a maxim, a little aphorism that I can look at in my ring that will always give me peace of mind and serenity whenever I'm too high or too low or depressed. So what did they give him? They gave him a ring, and inscribed in the ring was, this too shall pass away. For everything will pass away. The war, if there's a war, there's going to be peace. It's going to stop, you know. So these are lofty truths. I'll turn my eyes to the hills from whence cometh my help, and thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusted in thee. Think of these lofty truths. I and my Father are one. If God be for me, who could be against me? Yes, all things are ready if the mind be so. According to my belief is it done unto me. According to my faith is it done unto me. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I hath is thine. Before you call, I will answer. While you're yet speaking, I will hear. Are you going to say, it is hard for me? Is the Lord's hand shortened that he cannot save? The battle is not yours, it is mine. Stand ye still and see the salvation of the Lord, solution which the lordly power will give you. Come unto me, come unto that infinite intelligence within you, all ye that are able, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I, the infinite, will give you rest. Every problem has a solution. Every question has its answer. One implies the other. Therefore, you go within to contemplating the answer, and the answer will come to you. My peace I leave you, my peace I give you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. And great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. These truths lift you up above the petty things of life and set you free. And when fear or worry knocks at your door, faith in God and the goodness of God open the door of your mind, and there's no one there. If you're worried about your income or family or business problem, they are changing now. Go to the spirit world. The infinite presence is there, the infinite life and infinite love and boundless wisdom. All these truths are there. And there's nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so. That's an absolute, a philosophical absolute. Therefore, there's no opinion, there's no suffering. Where there's no judgment, there's no pain. You have no opinions about the headlines of the morning. You have no opinion about John Jones shooting himself. You didn't tell him to do it. If you get all exercised and agitated about, you may suffer from stress and strain and get, as the doctor said, ulcers or high blood pressure. And you're only polluting the atmosphere that way. Wouldn't it be easy for you to say, well, he's alive with the life of God. God loves him and cares for him. You can do that even though he's committed suicide, can't you? So how could it disturb you? You disturbed yourself, didn't you? So it isn't the work that's bothering you or giving you stress and strain. It isn't your job. It isn't your assignment. It isn't that you're president of the company or vice president or general manager. That's not it at all. It's the way you work. It's your reaction to the work. If you're resenting the work or the boss, and if you're working with hostility and fear and anxiety, you're projecting that onto the work and to those people around you. And, of course, then stress and strain come into your experience. So do what you're doing. Do to the best of your ability with love and goodwill. Because you're always projecting your worry, your shortcomings, your anxieties onto your business, your affairs, and other people. If you have lofty thoughts and ideals and dreams and aspirations, you must bring them into manifestation so that we can see them in your body, in your speech, in your mannerisms, in your gestures, in your work, in your writing, in all phases of your life. If you don't do that, you become tense. You suffer from stress and strain. There are people who are off to communes, you know. They wear a loincloth or something. They smoke marijuana. We read about it in the papers. Sometimes the papers are full of this sort of thing. And they go on relief, you know. Children are born, and of course they don't get proper attention. And they expect the world owes them a living and things of that nature. All of these people who live that way are suffering from stress and strain, with all the results that follow from that condition. We're all here to serve. We're all here to put our hand to the plow. And when a man isn't expressing himself, he feels guilty. With guilt comes fear, with fear comes punishment, because he knows in his heart he's here to give. So those living in ivory towers are in difficulty. They're full of tension. You're living in an objective and subjective world, and you have to balance the two. So if you're all wrapped up in metaphysics, you know, just reading metaphysical and philosophical books, and you're not expressing yourself in the world, you don't have love and recreation and creativity and expression, and joy and all these things, then you're a queer, cultish figure. You're lopsided and balanced, and you're really sick. Because these things have to be balanced. On the other hand, if you're all wrapped up in the external phenomena, the world, and say, look, all I want is to make a lot of money and get ahead in life, and you reject and neglect the spiritual values of life, you too are lopsided. You're imbalanced. You're a crass materialist, and you're running to the psychiatrist or to the bottle or for tranquilizers and sedatives, and they will not help you. Because when the marijuana wears off or the tranquilizer wears off, you find the infection is in your own mind. So these things never cure you, the cause is within. So we're all here to lead a balanced life, and you live in an objective world, and you're here to roll up your sleeves, whether it's a telephone company or you're digging in the soil, or whether you're driving a truck or operating in the operating table. And then you do that with joy and with love, and you go to the Father within regularly and systematically for refreshment, inspiration, and guidance, to dwell upon the great values of life. Then you're leading a balanced life, and you're no longer lopsided. The inner world, you know, is a world of thought, of feeling, of imagination, of action too, plans and purposes, of dreams and aspirations, isn't it? It's a real world. It's as real as the outer world. The Bible tells you, I am come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. Heretofore you have asked for nothing. Now ask that your joy might be full. The spirit without form is nothing, and form without spirit is nothing. Today well lived makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. That's from the Sanskrit. So the pace is not killing you, it's your attitude of mind towards your work, you see. Approach your work and say, I can do all things through this God power which strengtheneth me. I radiate love, peace, and goodwill to all those around me. I'm inspired today. Spirit of the Almighty moves in the waters of my mind, and whatever I do will prosper. Then you're overcoming stress and strain. So stress and strain do not really come from that work, whether you're building a house or whether you're a carpenter, sawing wood. But it's work done in anxiety and resentment and hostility. Remember, we project our own disorder and confusion onto our wives, our husbands, and all those around us. Inevitably, if the stress is continued beyond this general adaptation stage, the adrenal glands become exhausted. They change in color from yellow to brown. The stomach becomes spotted with ulcers. The resistance to cold and heat and to every kind of disease and injury collapses. And if the unfortunate individual does not fall victim to some infection, he will probably succumb to one of the heart, circulatory, or kidney diseases, which are today the greatest killers. Dr. Selye's work demonstrated that the defense system can effectively fight only one thing at a time. If in response to a mental tension caused by pain from a broken limb, for instance, it is set into action, it quicked out all the clippings of the newspapers of plane disasters. And she studied them. Finally, she got on a plane, and her son said she had to get on a plane where there was a disaster, because she'd been contemplating it for 1 year. If you're contemplating or meditating on or imagining the loss of your home, the loss of your job, a layoff, or that you're going to lose your home or can't pay the mortgage, these imaginary fears set your hormones, the pituitary and the adrenal gland, into action, and these hormones, which are elaborated, interfere with the chemistry of your system. There is no sickness, you have no fever, you have had no accident, no lesion, you don't have pneumonia, there's proportionally. What he's actually saying is that if you begin to imagine, fear, the sense of loss that you're going to lose your job or mortgage, or some imaginary fear while you're going on an airplane, that which I fear most has come upon me. Now, when the subconscious does not differentiate between an imaginary fear and a real fear, and therefore you can see the havoc that is played by stress and strain and anxiety when a person begins to worry and become anxious over conditions and circumstance events which are not happening at all, but in their mind may happen, or they imagine they are going to happen. Like a woman I knew who began to organizes 100 specialized activities in addition to his general work to repair the fracture. But if in the middle of this repair work another stress caused by fear, let us say, is introduced, we either quickly succumb to the first injury or to shock resulting from second stress, or the broken limb simply does not mend and has to be amputated. In the case of other diseases, rather than fractures, healing is suspended and the diseases become chronic. Thus, if our general defense system is mobilized by mental tensions of a non-physical origin, our resistance to the stresses imposed by such things as pneumonia, influenza, colds is decreased. Dr. Hans Selye at the University of Montreal's Institute of Experimental Medicine and Surgery has demonstrated the destructive effects of stress and strain, worry and anxiety on the general defense system of the body. He says if the mental stress which set the general defense system in motion is not of a temporary and passing nature, but persists week after week, the adrenal glands first attempt to adapt to the situation by increasing their output of hormones. But this plays havoc with various other processes not related to defense. The individual may develop arthritis or diabetes or any of the other so-called psychosomatic diseases.